Okay, so the last step is going to be the adding a legend. And so I'm going to go ahead and go grab the starter snippet for this and paste it in. And it's going to be to add a legend. And then I have you call this module that I've written for cartography. There are a few things like adding a legend that are a little bit tricky to do. Like there's no Engine object for this. Like you have to kind of write a custom script, and rather than drag you through that, I've just made it callable, made a function callable here that you can grab. So you're going to load this module for cartography and be able to use the tool rather than kind of construct it in order to use it. And so the first thing you're going to do is, call a variable or, name a variable to kind of store the legend that you're going to make. And then you're going to call on this make gradient legend method of the module. So it's a gradient legend because we're using a color gradient that goes kind of smoothly from red to blue through white to represent kind of continuous values. We'll talk about legends that for representing more discrete values like classified, not secret, but like when you're dealing with classes of data or objects, you you use a different method for creating a legend. So we're going to call the make gradient legend, and it takes kind of these three arguments. So it needs to know the viz parameters. It basically needs to know what the minimum and maximum values are, and then it needs to know so these are the data values, the range of data values, and the palette that you want to use to represent that range of data values. It needs to know a label to put on this legend, and then it needs to know where to put the legend. And then so after you've kind of fed it these three, we're going to kind of work with these for a little bit. You can then add the legend to the map, and you can uncomment this um, and say, and then I think just, sorry, good practice. I'm just gonna, well, no, we'll just leave those out for now. I'm gonna hit, if you say map dot add, it's kind of expecting something, it's expecting an object to add. So if you say add this legend to the map and you run it, um, it's going to go through this where it'll think about it and you're asking it to load another module, so it takes another click. But now it has this legend over here. And let's kind of go through this a little bit. If we took off the bottom left and then got rid of that comma there and hit run, I think the legend's going to wind up like here. So by default, the placement of a GUI is, it doesn't put it on at all. All right, did it call an error? Yeah, so it doesn't like that. So you got to tell it where to stick it, and we're going to just use bottom left. We'll talk a little bit more when we get further into kind of these widgets is what we're making here, and these objects that are part of a graphical user interface. We'll talk a little bit more about the kind of the positioning scheme of CSS, but for right now, we're just going to say bottom left, and it should stick it over there. Let's work on the label a little bit. Degrees Celsius is helpful, but because it tells us the unit, but it would be helpful to learn a little bit more. So if I wanted to say like mean LST for, what was this, for January 2023 degrees Celsius, and if I clicked run, that would be more descriptive, but it would probably, let's see, yeah, it pushes out, and that could be fine, but it makes the gradient a little bit bigger. It's basically pushing the box so that it fits this label. It's a little bit hard to read. So if you wanted to add carriage returns like this, you can't just hit return to put these on separate lines in because you kind of destroy the integrity of the string. You have to do this new line thing. So it's the slash that we haven't been using when we've been. So it's the opposite slash of this comment. It's kind of under for on a Mac. It's like underneath the delete. I think it's up there as well on I think keyboards are keyboards. I think of I can't remember if this is the forward, like if this is a forward slash because the bottom is forward, or if it's the backslash because I can't remember if people privilege the top or the bottom when they name slashes. But I think of this as the hockey stick. So it's the one that's kind of like you would be if you were holding it. It would be out like a hockey stick, and then you just say that with an N, and that's going to tell it to kind of do a new line so that you can fit these. So each of these labels would get a new line, and then the box would be shaped. So now it's taller than it is wide, but that might be easier to read. So anyway, that's just a little bit about working with the labels in a legend. And at this point, you should kind of have it. You've got your visual, you've color coded your data so that you can kind of visualize it, and then you provided a simple little tool to help people quickly understand what you're showing, when, like when the data are, and the units for this color scheme. Is that fair? So I'm going to hit save, and then that's all I'm going to show you in these videos. Thanks.